Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Christian Barnes. I am the founder and the lead financial coach of Do Better Financial, and welcome to another Weeconomy Wednesday. I hope you've had a good week so far. This week we're going to be talking about swimming, as I'm sure you saw in the thumbnail that I shared earlier. Not really, we're not talking about swimming, though I do enjoy it. We're going to be talking about trying new things. It's a theme. So here's the truth. Trying new things can be really hard, right? So whether that's physical activity or waking up early, that's something I don't do, or starting a business, or working on creating a course for your business. This stuff can be very difficult, not just because of the actual activity itself, but the motivation to do so, the motivation to continue doing so, and also the fact that sometimes it doesn't come out the way that you wanted, right? It can be really easy. I am speaking for me. It can be really easy to get discouraged, and I frequently want to quit. I'm not gonna lie about that. I have been working on my course, and because new things make me uncomfortable and they require a lot of effort, I am a person who seeks to be comfortable. I have become accustomed to being uncomfortable. I've also become accustomed to having people praise my work or think that it's awesome without me even trying that hard. Not everybody can. I understand that some of you are like, oh, she is a privileged jerk. I fully understand and acknowledge that that is a privilege that I have. But it means that when I do have to try hard, I am a fish out of water. Okay. And so, the problem in quitting is not just that, it relieves that temporary pressure, right? I no longer feel, the weight of doing something good or the weight of trying hard. But the other issue is it doesn't fix my initial problem, right? So if I'm trying to become more physically active and then I quit because it's a lot of work, or I don't like being sweaty, or, it's just ridiculously hot. It is literally 100 now. Welcome to Houston in May. I was enjoying that weird kind of period where May felt a lot like March and April. I have been relieved of the notion that maybe Houston summer would be different this year. 100. I digress. The problem is, like I said, is that quitting just relieves pressure, but it doesn't fix your problem. So if you started becoming more physically active because you really wanted to improve your joint health, or because you were trying to lose weight, your joint health didn't get better by quitting, and you didn't lose weight by quitting. All you've done now is cemented further in your mind the idea that you are incapable of doing the difficult or just new thing that you were trying to do. But you still have that need or that urge to do the thing, right? So for me, with my business, I have always felt this calling to help people with their finances. And when I say always, I pretty much mean that literally. I've known that I wanted to do something with finance ever since Angela Dees came to Solid Rock when I think I was 12. Shout out to Angie, and did a presentation. And I realized then that I was really interested in finance, and I thought it was really cool. Didn't know how I wanted to get into it. So I went into finance in college, and that's a story for another day. Anyway, I've always had this need, this urge to do something with finances. And I've been very interested in money and all of those things. Not like greedy, weird person, but like I'm fascinated. I enjoy spreadsheets. I'm that chick, right? I like budgeting. Or cash flow planning. So I've always had that within me. But after I started the business, I had this sort of period where I went into like a dormancy. You didn't see videos from me for probably about a year because I was kind of burnt out, right? I wasn't getting the results that I wanted, and I felt like it was too much work for not enough reward. And so I didn't quit, but I stopped trying. And what I mean by that is I continued to coach the clients that I had, and I continued to try to do my best for those clients, but I wasn't actively advertising. I wasn't really seeking out new clients. If I got one, great. If I didn't, oh well, because I have a day job and I'm comfortable. But truth be told, the day job does not fulfill that need, that urge that God has placed within me to help people with their finances. So when you think about that, when you think about the fact that quitting is not going to give us the results that we want, what would? That thing is consistency. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about the power of consistency. So when you want to become consistent at something, you want to do something regular, you want to make something into a new habit or a new practice. For me, it's not necessarily that I want to create courses every month, right? But it's more that I wanted to get into the habit of trying new things and not being afraid of hard work. That sounds silly, but maybe it doesn't. It feels silly, but it's the truth. That's what I want to cultivate consistency in, doing things that make me uncomfortable. So the first thing that we need to do if we want to cultivate some consistency is admit that it's hard. Don't go ahead and feel those feelings, right? Don't just punch it down and, like I literally just did in this video and be like, oh, you're being silly. There are people who work harder than you. This isn't that hard and all that kind of stuff. That's not helpful. It's hard for me. Trying new things, not being comfortable is hard for me. And so it's a skill that I have to cultivate. So I need to admit to myself that this is difficult. And then I need to confront it with the truth, right? The truth is it's difficult, but it's worth it. The truth is it is difficult, but it's something that God has called me to do. And because he's called me to do it, he has also equipped me to do it. Does that mean that I need to do everything by myself? No, it does not. That's what I did in the past. That did not work well. It sometimes means that I need to enlist others to help me in accomplishing my goals. But that's for another day. What is something else that we can do to cultivate a level of consistency? Set some small, maybe even seemingly unrelated goals, because winning is contagious. I can give you an example of this. I have been struggling with lacking a schedule. I thrive in a schedule. I told you guys that last week, or maybe I only shared it in the group. I'm honestly not sure. The days kind of run together now. And so I thrive in a schedule, right? I used to have very specific schedule. Mondays were body jam. I am a body jam instructor. Hello, I am Christian and I like to dance. Yes, my knees are trash and I do it anyway. That's what Leave is for. And heating pads and icy hot and the like. And so Mondays is body jam. I would go dance on Monday nights. Tuesdays, I did like a weightlifting HIIT class. Obviously, I'm going to work every day, right? Wednesdays, I had yoga. Thursday, I had a HIIT class. And sprinkled throughout the week, I would also be practicing because I used to just do body jam, but now I teach it, right? And then Fridays were a little bit of a mixed bag because I'm off every other Friday. And it just kind of varies. Anyway, that schedule is something that helped me thrive, but lacking it has been difficult. And so I hadn't done a full body jam release, which is 55 minutes, in over a month, which for those of you who happen to be jammers that might be watching this video, you might be like, girl, you haven't jammed in over a month and you have access to the releases? No, I did not. I occasionally joined small groups and they would do 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but I had said in my head that I was no longer capable of a 55-minute release, right? That I was too tired, okay? That I was too out of shape, that I had gained too much weight. Full disclosure, I have no clue how much weight I've gained. I have avoided the scale like the Black Plague, but my pants still fit, so whatever. So I had said in my head, I can't do 55 minutes. And I went and took a walk with my husband on, I think it was Sunday or Saturday. And he was like, well, just try. And I was like, this was after having a really hard day with something I was doing with the business. And I was like, okay, yeah, it was Sunday. My goal for tomorrow is to do a body jam release. And I was like, I probably am only going to be able to get through half of it, but I'm going to try. And so I got through half of it and I was like, I can keep going. Wow, I can keep going. So I keep going, right? Now, granted, it helps when you're not teaching, but still. And so as I kept going, at one point, my husband, he's in class on Monday nights. He came in, he saw me dancing, and I almost smacked him because he didn't know I was about to turn, which was really funny. Anyway, he has recently gotten a new camera. It's his new toy, and he turns on this giant light, right, because I'm dancing in the dark because it's hot and I don't want lights on. He turns on this light, and when he turned on that light, it kind of felt like I was on stage and like I need to keep going. And then I heard the camera clicking and I knew he was taking pictures. Now he's just testing his camera. He wasn't doing this, like, oh, I'm going to have magical pictures of my wife dancing and they're going to be in the Met. That wasn't what he was doing. I don't actually know if that's what they do in the Met. Forgive me, all of my art friends. But hearing him taking the pictures and having that light on me, it was like, Christian, don't quit. Like, they're watching you. Who's they? It was just my husband. But at the same time, it was like that act of, number one, realizing I could keep going. And number two, knowing that he saw me keep going, helped me keep going. And when I finished, I showered, and I sat down and I started working on my course for the first time in almost a week. And I tell you that story to illustrate that winning is contagious for you by yourself. You can create a small win and carry it into the next one. And that is so helpful when you're trying something new. Sometimes you need to do something that you're like, man, this is hard, but like this I feel like I can do. Give yourself like a little injection of hope, if you will, before you tackle that new thing that you've really been struggling with, okay? So admit when it's hard, go ahead and feel those feelings, confront them with the truth. The truth is this is hard, but it's worth it. The truth is this is hard, but I've been equipped to do it. And then set some small, even seemingly unrelated goals. The next one is to get some accountability, because if somebody else knows you're doing it, you give them permission to ask you about it, and it can help you move forward. Every week, there is a plug for New January. That's not unintentional. That group allows me to have a place where I know I have given peers, permission to ask me about the things I said I was doing, and they have given me permission to do the same, and we trade back and forth. And so when I go a week without posting in the group, I'm like, oh man, this is my group, right? If I'm not doing the thing, why are they even here if I'm not going to do what I said I was going to do? So I posted a video saying, hey, I'm having a really hard time one week. And people were like, yeah, I hear you. And then a few days later, I got a text from one of the members saying, I know I missed last week, but I'm trying to catch up. And that right there, her telling me that she was still trying, let me know that I needed to keep trying, right? So having that accountability, having that community where you're able to talk to others who are also not necessarily trying to do exactly what you're doing, that can help too, especially depending on what you're doing, but also people who are just trying to do something that they're struggling with, right? That accountability can be super helpful in this process. So what does the power of consistency do for us? It helps you fight through that urge to give up, right? You can build up the muscle and endurance necessary to keep going when it gets hard, right? We're not pretending it's not hard. We admit that it is hard, and then we say, I'm going to do it anyway, or I'm going to try and do this much of it, right? My small goal when I was trying to do that, when I was trying to dance that release, or just when I say release, for those of you who are not jammers or anything related to dance in the Les Mills world, it just means 55 minutes. It's a set of choreography that we learn 2 different blocks. It's really fun. When they open back up the Y and I start teaching, you should come. Okay? But it'll help you to get over those mental blocks. It'll help you push through it. And then you will accomplish things that you may have thought were impossible. You will do things that you just didn't realize you were capable of doing. And so I'm going to do it again. I did it yesterday, and I'm going to rejoice again today. I have finished scripting the first module of my course. I'm going to cheer for myself, but I'm also not going to like ruin y'all's ears. So, I'm excited. Am I done? No, but this is farther than I've gotten in the last time that I tried to do it. So we're going to be excited about that, okay? So if you are somebody who has been trying something new, you want to start doing something new, and you need that support, come join the New January Challenge. You might say, Christian, y'all started a week and a half ago. So what? Days are arbitrary. We started on a specific day, and you can start on the next one. The group's not going to close. There will still be people, I am sure, there who are trying to encourage one another and who want to continue trying new things. So go ahead and jump in the group. It is, if you look in the Facebook, how old am I? If you look on Facebook, you're going to search in groups for New January Challenge. Okay, it's going to have a nice little block image there that says change, and it's changing to chance. So because change is our chance to do better. Okay, so join us in the group, download your calendar, and get on track. So that is your the more you know health moment thingy for today. We're going to just keep swimming, right? Or in my case, just keep dancing. Let me give you your stimulus package update for this week. You may have heard that, I believe yesterday, the PPP forgiveness application was released. So if you're somebody who applied for a PPP loan, you now have the opportunity to apply for forgiveness of said loan, which was the big calling card. It was the reason that most people went and got it, right? You have to complete this and return it to your lender that gave you your loan. So you don't send it to the SBA or to the government. It goes directly to your lender. So if you got that money through Wells Fargo or through PayPal, then your application for forgiveness goes back through them as well. So as far as time, you can choose the 8-week time period that most closely follows your disbursement to qualify you. So the reason that they did this is, theoretically, if I got my PPP loan on the 1st of a month, right? But we had just run payroll on the 31st, I theoretically could have lost 2 weeks almost of payroll because they had just missed me. So they will allow you to start it on that next payroll run on the 15th or the 16th, if that makes sense. The payroll reduction exemption. So if you had to reduce your head count, or you had already reduced your head count, your forgivable loan amount will not be reduced by reductions in headcount for the following reasons. If someone that you tried to rehire turned down their job offer after you offered in writing, if you fired the person for cause, so they were stealing or they weren't showing up to work before all of this started, or if they just flat out resign. You do have until June 30th to get your head count back up to the original number. It's still not clear, unfortunately, it's a trend, exactly how that process works. But from what I've read, it seems like you would just wait to apply for forgiveness until you had hired those people back. Because right now you have a period where you don't have to pay on the loan anyway, which I believe runs out at the end of October, but don't quote me on that. There's a link in the description below that's going to tell you all the details and more about how this works. Of course, it's complicated because government, so there are some calculations that you're going to have to run as far as, how you get to the 75% versus 25%. 75% had to be spent on payroll, and the other 25 could be spent on other utility, mortgage, rent type expenses. There's a bunch of calculations on how you do that and how you figure out exactly what your forgivable amount is. Check that out in the description. I do not want to screw you up. There's lots of numbers involved. If you have an accountant, make them help you, okay? Because it's a lot. If you are a person that takes a draw, if you're a business owner that takes a draw instead of doing regular payroll, you can actually use 8 weeks worth of pay from a 2019 estimate instead of having to accelerate your draw. If you're somebody who is a business owner, you know what that means. If you're not a business owner, or if you're a business owner and you don't know what that means and you're not sure if you do it, talk with your accountant, definitely look it up and make sure that you know exactly what you need to put into all these specific line items to get your loan forgiven, okay? The next one is going to be the Harris County Commissioner has actually approved a $30 million relief fund that will focus on families making less than 60% of the average income in the area, mostly the Houston area, domestic violence victims, kids who have aged out of foster care, and people living in shelters. They have not given a lot of details on this. We know that the first half of that $30 million is going to be dispersed by charities, local charities, and the second 15 is going to be dispersed by application, either by phone or online. Those details have not been released yet, but as soon as I find them, I will let you know. There's a link in the description that's going to show you a KHOU spot where they give you as much detail as there currently is available, which currently isn't much, to be quite frank. But it's better than nothing, and it allows us to know that there is some help that's going to be made available to the people in our communities who are struggling the most, okay? On that note of struggling, unemployment in Texas. If your unemployment claim has been denied, your best bet, or pretty much the only way you can get through, is to appeal in writing and either fax or mail it in. The response and the posting of the response to your account can take up to 3 weeks, okay? This is really a headache. I know it is. I really can't imagine the situation you find yourself in right now if you have tried to apply for unemployment only to be denied and not be able to get them on the phone. You're not alone in that. all we can hope for at this point is that as they start clearing this crazy backlog that they have, they will be able to take more phone calls and you'll actually be able to get through on the phone instead of just getting busy signals. For those of you who still need to talk to a human, put them on redial and just let it run all day long if you can in the background, and keep a little earpiece in your ear or whatever. Keep it on speakerphone, keep it in your pocket, and hopefully somebody will pick up at some point. But I read that in one, excuse me, that's water. I don't know why I'm burping from water. I read that in one day they received 3.5 million phone calls. And 3.1 million of those people got busy signals. So only 400,000 people even got to the answering machine. It's bad, y'all. They've increased all kinds of call center numbers and they're still struggling. If you see a job posting for a call center job with TWIC, go ahead and take it. You'll be helping everybody, okay? There are also some jobs being posted for contact tracers, which are the people who are going to help in the effort to figure out where people who have been sick or who have been in, figuring out who's been in contact with people who have COVID. That's the short answer of it. There are people, you would not be like going door to door. It's something that you would do from home, but there are some jobs available for that. And from what I've seen, the pay rate can be somewhere from $17 up to like $25 an hour. So check it out. You can just Google it and there should be an application available. All right. Last but not least, this is the big one, the HEROES Act. So the fourth stimulus package was passed in the House. Two chambers of our government, of our Congress, House and Senate. It passed the House, barely. And it's been sent to the Senate, but it's really just a negotiating point. I'm going to run through some of the high points of the things that are most likely to stick around in some form, but this is not a law. This has not been signed into law. Only the House has passed it. The Republicans are honestly doing a wait and see approach. They're under the impression that we're going to have what they call a V rebound. You know, obviously we had a very steep decline in everything with the shutdown, and they're hoping for a very steep rebound, and they don't want to go into more debt before they assess the effects of people getting their unemployment and also the previous stimulus checks. We all know that $1,200 ain't a lot, $2,400 ain't a lot. It ain't gonna get you very far in Texas, let alone in a place like California, New York City, or like, you know, Denver, Colorado, or anything like that. But they seem to be under the impression that unemployment and the PPP loans will start to show some return, and they want to wait. How long do they want to wait? At the very least until after Memorial Day, which is Monday, right? So the earliest we would hear anything would probably be next week, and that would just be to start negotiations. Like I said, they already said they're not signing this as it is, so they're going to be negotiating. But the earliest we're probably going to see an actual package get passed into law would probably be early June. So don't hold your breath, but I'm going to go through this stuff just so, again, you know what's in it. FYI, it's 1,800 pages. I'm not going to lie and tell you I read all that. I have a lot of gatherings I've made, and then I did a little cherry picking through their document. But 1,800 pages, your girl ain't got time for that. She trying to write a course and she got a day job, okay? So the highlights. Impact payments. They would be doing another round of impact or stimulus payments. The amounts would be the same for adults, $1,200. They want to raise the amount for dependent children from $500 to $1,200. And they also want to make college students eligible for that $1,200. So if you were considered a dependent college student, aged 17 to 24, your parents or your guardian would be able to get the $1,200 for you as well, which is huge, right? They are also making these, they want to make these available to resident aliens. People get confused about this and they're like, oh, they're trying to give money to illegal aliens. Wrong. People who are called resident aliens, I actually work with quite a few, are people who have, I believe that it's like a EITN number. It's not a social security number, but they work here and live here legally, right? They might work in your IT department. They might be your boss, right? They just are not American citizens, but they live and work here. So they pay taxes just like you do. Their kids go to school with yours. A lot of them are very educated, and they're literally from everywhere. They're from everywhere from England to Australia to India to Africa to South America. They're probably Canada too. They're from everywhere, all right? So get this notion out of your head that somebody is here and they're going to take money that doesn't belong to them. These people pay taxes, and frequently quite a bit in taxes, okay? They're trying to get it so that they're eligible. One of the biggest reasons for this is if a man is married to a woman who is a resident alien, and they file taxes jointly, he wouldn't even get his impact payment because he's married to a resident alien who clearly lives here because they're married, but that's kind of silly, okay? So they're trying to fix that with the impact payment situation. The next one, they have $900 billion allocated for state, local governments, which are really struggling under the strain of unemployment spikes and decreases in revenues. So if you think about it, in a state like Texas, we operate on sales tax. Granted, a lot of things are still being sold, but there are a lot of things that would normally be sold that aren't. So they're losing a lot of revenue. And as I mentioned, we've had a ridiculous spike in unemployment, my household included. So because of that, the states need a lot of help, not just with that, but with funding testing and, taking care of a lot of other things that have had to get kind of pushed to the wayside. They're already talking about furloughing some employees in a lot of different states because they just don't have the money to pay everybody, which would just spike unemployment further, right? It's a terrible little spiral there. They're also talking about extending unemployment insurance through January of 2021. It's currently slated, the extra $600 that you get with your unemployment check is currently slated to end at the end of June. They want to extend it to January 2021, and then they want to introduce what they're calling soft cutoff, or like a graduated tapering off of that money through March of 2021 for those people who are still eligible. They want to put 3.6 into elections and voting. So they want to either expand vote by mail access, provide PPE to poll workers, things like that. If you are somebody who is working from home and you have a flexible job and you are in good health and don't live with anybody who is in poor health or who is highly susceptible to the effects of this virus, keep an eye out for when they start opening up poll worker jobs or poll volunteer positions. Most of these positions have historically been filled by our retirees, who are clearly our most vulnerable population. We don't want anybody to lose access to the right to vote. But until we get a settlement on this whole vote by mail situation, they're still duking it out in Texas. Go figure. Right now, Harris County, I think it's Tarrant County for Dallas. All of those counties want to increase voter by mail access, but they're having a little fight with the Texas government. So, think what you will, but they want to fund that. They also want to extend the student loan interest payment waiver until September of 2021. So it's currently slated to end in 2020. They want to give it another year. And they also want to make private student loan payments for borrowers through September of 2021, which is a really interesting one. I want to see how much of this stuff actually gets pushed through. Full disclosure, there's going to be some negotiations, so a lot of this is going to fall out, but I will let you know when I know, okay? Thank you so much for joining me today on Weeconomy Wednesday. Just keep swimming, guys. Just keep swimming. Don't forget to join the new January challenge if you need some help. And I thank you. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.